Imagine you're Bill Dixon. You designed this boat's predecessor, the Pearl 62, the most successful Pearl ever made. You've created a 60-foot Flybridge boat with 4 cabins, 3 bathrooms, and a tender garage big enough for a jet ski. Totally unique in the sector, and for that reason, very popular. Then one day, the phone rings. It's Pearl. They say,
"Hey Bill, you know that 62 you designed? Can you make it even better?"
well, that's what this is. The new Pearl 63, possibly the toughest brief that Pearl has ever given Bill Dixon. How can it possibly improve on its predecessor? Well, in this video we're going to find out with an in-depth review and sea trial. I'm Jack Haines, you're watching YachtBuyer. We've got to start down here because this is where Bill and his team have done some of their best work in terms of improving the formula over the 62. It has the same tender garage, but it's a little bit bigger, so you can now fit a semi-inflated Williams mini jet inside that garage. On the 62, it was a jet ski only, so you could keep a jet ski in there and a tender on the platform. On this version, you can still do that if you want. You can have the toy and the tender, or you could just have the tender and make sure it is always nicely tucked away. And as I said, it does have to be semi-deflated, but they have put a scan strut compressor in there so you can really easily inflate and deflate the tubes. And it's a clever system because the platform is part of how you get it into the garage. So this extends out first, revealing actually a nice step around the outside so you can walk around the transom if you need to, and then it drops down into the water. It really does add to the functionality, and customers wanting to be able to have a proper tender they can tuck away. So box ticked. What else have we got down here? Well, there's a deck shower, as you would expect. We've also got hatches down here where you've got access to the shore power connections. And if you spec a passerelle, which you're going to want if you're mooring stern too, that fits in there, and that's a hydraulic number, so that just extends out from that hatch in the top step. I should also mention that as with the 62, you can have a crew cabin if you want. Only 4 of the 25 62s they sold had the crew cabin option. It's designed to be an owner-run boat, but if you want it, you'll sacrifice the tender garage, but you can have it, and access for that is through a hatch here. And because of the design of this transom, you've only got access up the starboard side, but it's a nice easy staircase. And then we arrive at one of the other key features on the 63, something the 62 didn't have, which is balconies. And again, you know, not the first time we've seen balconies on a boat, obviously, but in this specific sector, really quite unique. Yes, the Squadron 58's got it from Fairline, but that's a smaller boat. The Galley 640 is bigger. The Sidedecks 6 from Azimuth has them, but isn't a Flybridge. So yeah, they found themselves a nice little niche here, and they are a cost option. They're quite simple. There's no glass in them. The boarding gate is not inside these. It's just forward on both sides. But you know what? When you're sitting in this cockpit, open this out on an anchorage like this, it does just make a big difference. You feel far more connected to the water, the view's better. It's lovely, and also great for the kids and adults to have some fun jumping off and enjoying the water. So yeah, a nice addition, a sensible addition, the sort of thing that buyers just want to see these days. Let's stay on deck and we'll head inside in a moment. As I mentioned, boarding gates, you've got those on both sides. A little bit narrow on the side decks, but not too bad. Lovely high guardrails, however, you know, up to my hip here, so these fall to hand really easily, and there's a lovely gauge on these railings as well. They feel really solid, and there's nice things as well, like the fact that they've included the fillers. This is waste and one of the fuel caps inside the top of the bulwark, so that's all nice and slick the way that's integrated into those sections. We've got teak decks all over on this particular boat, and a side door. You know I always like to see these. I just said down there, this is likely to be an owner-run boat, so being able to get from the lower helm out onto deck really easy as the skipper is something you really like to see. Right, let's have a close look at the foredeck. This is identical to the 62. Bill obviously thought, no, I've done too much good work here. I cannot improve this. And to be fair, it works very well. And I'm going to be drawing comparison to the 62 throughout this video. But if you want to compare them literally side by side, you can do that on yachtbuyer.com. You can compare this with the 62 and also all its rivals in the same sector. Head over there and do that after you've watched this video. Now, what have we got up here? Well, I'm actually sitting on top of a table. It's hidden away, but underneath this hatch, there's a nice big teak table that swings out on a leg, so you can even dine up here if you want. It's quite a big table. You've got this pop-up backrest too, so you can create slightly more comfortable sunbathing space. There is protection up here if you want it as well. You can slot some poles into the deck and have a canopy if you'd like some shade, and there's some nice detailing up here as well, and also good storage. We see this quite a lot. with various brands, but it's really helpful. We've got all the ropes in here and they're actually joined, so they're really deep. Very, very useful space. Covers for this area all fits in there really nicely. There are cup holders and pop-up lights behind here, but there are more pop-up lights. We have them forward too. And not only have you got cup holders, but you've also got this little spot here, so you can drop your phone in there when you're sunbathing and know it's not going to slide away. And I really like the way they just use a continuous strip light all the way around the outside. You haven't got little pin lights dotted around the deck. This runs all the way back to the cockpit. They've done that before, and I think it works really nicely. Back to the practical stuff though. This nice locker we have forward, which is the chain locker, but it's segmented, so we've got all the boat's fenders in here, and they've got this rack up here so you can tie off the lines, meaning they're not going to fall down into the bottom of the locker or get sucked up into the windlass. We've got an ultramarine anchor, which is really expensive but really good kit. Nice chunky cleats and built-in fairleads. It's all very nicely done. Now the last place for us to inspect on this deck is the cockpit, so let's head there. Right, into the cockpit then, and on this side, as an option, this is where you have the third docking station. So if you're going to be mooring stern to a lot, Mediterranean for example, you're probably going to want this. It's got the joystick, because this is an IPS boat, so you get joystick control. It's also got a repeater for the bow thruster, and this position is great because, you know, I can see the bathing platform, I can see the quayside most importantly, but I can also see forward, so that works really nicely. And they've thought about this well as an area, because they've got the boat hook stowed up here as well, and if again you're doing med mooring, you're going to need that to pick up the lazy lines, so it's all nicely contained in one place. They've also got a repeater for the Fusion stereo system here. Underneath this section there's just a bit of storage. You've got some wine glass storage down there, which is quite nice. I don't often have that type of storage outside on a boat like this. That's nice to see. And one of the other things they've done in the cockpit, aside from the balconies, is rework the seating. So we've got split tables now, but to make the most of the balcony on this side, this backrest isn't actually held down, so you can just slide that around, and if you do want to sit and enjoy the view, you can lean, put your feet on the balcony and admire the Solent. Lovely. That's quite nice. I would say though, all the way around these, the backrests are a little bit low and maybe a little bit far away. I don't know, let's give it a try. Yeah, it's comfortable, but if you're dining, you're just leaning back a little bit. However, the tables are great. I've seen these elsewhere on other boats, and they're a really clever design, because you can open them up all in one motion really, and then they slide in. The other one does the same thing, and they join. Great if you want to dine out here, but if you want more space to move around, especially when the boat's on the move and you want people to be able to get in and out of these seats really easily, that just makes this space even more usable. You've got your chairs on this side as well, so this is a really good dining space. It is obviously very well connected to the galley, and that is an important part of this design, the way they've got this aft galley to link to the cockpit. One way are these doors, but we've also got a drop down window inside. Like the balconies out there, this type of function we've seen before. It's not an innovation, but it just works really well in this layout with the aft galley. Drop this window down, it's relatively quick to do, and there's a separate section as well, so there are two buttons up here. Drop this down to complete the counter, and you have this really nice link between these two areas. So obviously it opens up this area, so if you're in the galley you've got a great view out, but also you can really easily serve the cockpit, and there's a nice breeze coming into here as well. It's a well-spec'd galley, and you've got storage all over the place, and everything has its own spot. Plates down here, glasses tucked away up there, even the cutlery has its own fiddles, Pearl branded of course, so that's all tucked away and really easy to get to. And Pearl have this long-standing interior design relationship with Kelly Hoppen. It's the same on the 63. There are 4 different versions, some with lighter wood, some with darker. This is Indulgence, and this looks quite different. This really, in terms of colour scheme, feels very different to pretty much everything else in the sector. It's what Pearl's known for. I told my mum I was testing a Pearl, and she's like, oh yeah, I like them. That's because they do the interiors differently. And something I've noticed is that when she first started creating these interiors, they felt homely, angular, sharp edges everywhere. Not anymore. See how you still have this really modern finish, but everything's rounded off, so if you're moving around in this area, you're not going to catch your hip on something sharp. And of course you've got all your equipment, mustn't forget that. We've got a fridge freezer. Interestingly, this has got a proper catch on it, the freezer. The fridge hasn't, so that just pulls open. I'd worry that something really heavy in there, if the boat heaves over, this could just swing open, so I'd like to see a proper catch on there, but cooling space is good. Induction cooking and an oven underneath. Dishwasher as well, and lots of storage, bins down there, that sort of thing. And it does feel quite domestic in places. You know, this is an interior designer taking the wheel inside, so this stuff all feels like it could be from a really high-end apartment. It's lovely. And one of the key differences inside between the 63 and the 62 is they've just extended this dinette to make more of this. This felt a bit cramped on the 62, but now they've pushed this forward so you can sit 4 people pretty comfortably in this, guys. And what I like is that, you know, this is the dining space. There's a lounging space over there, so high backrest. If you're dining, you're comfortable. If you're working as well, if you've got your laptop open, this is a nice place to sit. But also there's room the other side. If you want 2 more people to sit and dine inside, you can put some stools here. I'll show you those later on. As we move forward, as I just said, this is your lounging space. So you can see the shape of these is very different. These are much more relaxed, reclined. You sit here with a drink in your hand, watching TV, which is over there. It's a pop-up version. You've got the nice lights as well. All these little details that just keep things interesting as you move through the interior. And one of the major design features on the outside are those sort of slashes running through the window, where you can see those in the inside. The downside is you don't get those massive panes of glass like you get in, say, a Princess F58. But the styling lines on the outside do give it a lovely profile. And of course, you've got the extended windscreen. There's plenty of glass in here. It doesn't feel dark, just these do block the view a little bit. I mentioned those stools. These are quite clever. So these just pull out, and you can move these wherever you want. You could put them opposite the coffee table, you can slide them along to go opposite the dining table, and they've even put storage inside them. I can lift the top off, and you've got a relatively deep little storage cubicle in there, which is quite smart. They really have thought of how to maximise storage on board. And then it just slides away and creates your little couples bench. You've got this sliding module as well. It's really well thought out. And actually the practical stuff continues right forward. Just look at the storage up here. Firstly, this is the switch panel. Pops open on the gas ram. That's all really easy to get to. You've got generator control, air conditioning control, fusion system is all in there. But then on either side, deep storage here, perfect for things like the covers on the screens on the Helm, and even bigger storage up here. It's absolutely packed with it. And we're going to go into the Helms when we go and sea trial the boat, but let's finish the tour, the interior, by checking out the accommodation. The accommodation is inherited from the 62, and it's this layout that really sets the 62 and the 63 now apart from the competition. The headlines are 4 double cabins and 3 bathrooms with separate access to the owner's cabin. We're forward here. This is where the guest cabins are. So we've got a VIP double right forward, that's en suite with a private bathroom, and then identical twins on either side with a day head. We're going to start by looking at one of the twins. As I just said, they are the same, apart from the port side one. This one has got direct access, en-suite access into the day head. In terms of the cabin layout though, identical. So twins, though there is the option to have an infill, it actually slides out. This boat doesn't have it. You have a sliding section that pulls out here, infills, and you can make a double. But as twins, you see the beds? They're a good size. You'd think they've squeezed 4 cabins onto this boat. This is where you're going to feel the compromise. I don't think you do really. Storage is excellent. You've got drawers underneath both of these berths. There's a TV mounted on the wall. Hanging storage, good hanging storage up here. Both of them have a nice slice of hull window too. Natural light's perfectly good. And you've got an opening port. Of course, there's air conditioning throughout, but if you do want some breeze in here, you can do it. Headroom's good. It drops down cleverly because there is some intrusion here, but 6 foot tall. There's still a reasonable amount of space above my head. And as I move into this area, which is where you're going to be to get changed or to go to the bathroom, rockets up again. Back into the lobby. As I said, same over there on the starboard cabin. This is the day head, nice size. See, this is also shared with the ensuite twin, but the twin over the passageway as well. So, you know, it's going to be for use to guests in the day, but at night, this is the bathroom those cabins are going to be using. They get a lovely big shower cubicle with a rain shower head, and always nice to have some ventilation there. We've got an extractor fan whirring away. You can probably hear it on the microphone, but nice to have some manual extraction as well, you know, and it's all really beautifully finished. All of this Kelly Hoppen influence extends all the way down to places like the day head. And then right forward we have the principal guest cabin. This lovely VIP, really big bed, set at a good height as well. And talking of the heights, Look how much space there is above the bed. It really shoots up so you can very comfortably sit in bed and either watch the TV that's mounted inside the mirror on that bulkhead or read. And they've got this little window up here. You can just see the anchor equipment through that. It's just bringing in natural light. It's giving you a sense of the horizon as well, so you don't feel like you're tucked down in a sort of deep, dark cave. You've got nice big windows on either side, and there's a hatch, a double hatch right above the bed as well, though there is a sunpad cushion on there at the moment. Remove that, you get even more natural light. So it does feel very spacious. As I mentioned, this is en suite, so there's a door here through to a private bathroom, which again is a really good size with a separate shower cubicule, rain shower head, all the usual stuff you'd expect, and lots of storage. Hanging wardrobes on either side. A nice bureau here with this twisting mirror. That's a nice pearl touch we've seen elsewhere, but that works really well. Storage all underneath the bed too. You've got drawer storage, easy to get to. You don't have to lift up the bed to get to it. That makes life easy. Another hang locker over here. All of this storage down here too. They've really taken feedback from the 62 owners, of which there are quite a few. It's the most popular Pearl ever, and put that into this boat. What they wanted was storage, and they've delivered that. And of course, another key thing about this arrangement is totally separate access to the owner's cabin and midships. So let's head there. Ultimately, the 62 replaced the 60. That was an aft cabin boat, and when they designed this, they wanted to have a more traditional layout, but still have that aft cabin feel. Hence why you have this private staircase towards the aft end of the saloon, down into the owner's cabin. A couple of things though, it's quite steep, but they have got this rail that runs all the way down to help you down into this area. It's just this blind dangling here. They need to find a way, I think, to make this a bit more tidy, because the first thing your eye hits when you're coming down here, you've got this nice mirror, but that's just going to get in your way and be a bit annoying. However, things improve hugely when we get down there. Your private staircase leads down to this nice lobby entrance area, and then we're into the cabin itself, and it's a really lovely space. Not just the size of it, but this really is where you feel the Kelly Hoppen touches. They've sparingly used this piano black effect because it's probably quite hard to look after. I imagine it picks up fingerprints, but when it's clean, it looks so good. I just love the architecture behind this bed here. It's so different to what you normally see, and then it feels like a domestic scene rather than being on board a boat, but they've fitted all the stuff you need as well. It's not all form over function. You've got repeater lights, you've got your reading light that pops out from here, plus the detail lamp, plus a plug socket, plus storage down here, and the way this hovers over the bedside table I think just works really nicely. Breakfast diner is one option. You can have just a sofa here, but I like these because I think if you do want to do a bit of work and people are up in the saloon, you can do that. You're away, it's quiet, but you've still got great views because we have nice big hull windows in here, and they line up beautifully with the bed. You're lying in this big bed, you can see right over the waterline. It's lovely, and some of the detailing is great. We've got strip lighting all the way around. The lighting is lovely, especially like the way that this TV panel is sort of floating off the main bulkhead and then it's backlit. That's a lovely effect. This as well, it sort of disguises that the TV is up on the bulkhead there. Beautiful bureau over here on the starboard side with a similar mirror to what we've seen in the VIP cabin. There isn't storage underneath this bed because it's got tankage under there, but you have got twin hanging wardrobes, loads of storage in the bureau, and there's some tucked down underneath that bedside table as well. Of course, can't forget the private ensuite. Feels slightly industrial in here. This finish, it's very slick, but it feels a little bit cold to my eye. However, the space is good. Again, you've got a big separate shower cubicle with a rain shower head overhead, and they've managed to work in a decent sized hull window. It's quite dark in here because it's all grey. Obviously you've got your artificial lighting, but to have a nice patch of hull window really helps to brighten things up. Right, the last place we need to look at is the Flybridge, and then we're going to fire up and see what she's like out on the water. The Flybridge is another area that doesn't really differ that much from the 62. Again, it was a pretty strong formula, so like on that model, this is relatively flexible. You can either have just sunpad, or you can have sunpad and seating, or you can have two of these modules. I think this is a good mix. You've got the sunbathing space, the pure sunbathing space that people are always going to want on board a boat like this, plus somewhere just to sit with a drink, feet up, right here at the back of the boat. I think these are really nice, these spaces. And you've got, like downstairs, these movable stools that can be dragged around this area wherever you want. There's storage underneath here, including storage for the life raft. Now the hardtop is quite shallow, so you can't get an automatic bimini that comes out of there. It's a manual thing, but still, it's going to provide some shade. It's not quite as convenient as one of those pop-out ones. Amidships. Really nice big wet bar. All of this stuff comes as standard. The grill, lovely big sink, top loading fridge. These are great. These work really, really well, but you can add to that. You have another Vitafigo fridge down here. On top of that, you can add an ice maker. This boat has got a really high spec on it. It's about 2.5 million all in, excluding VAT, but it's got pretty much every option you want to have, including the hardtop. As standard, it comes without the sunroof, but tick a box and you'll get the sunroof which you're going to want. It's a canvas one, so it slides back a long way, gives you this big aperture, but crucially, whatever's happening with that, you've still got good shade over this central seating area. This is obviously a place where guests are going to want to dine. You've got these nice cushions on either side. Again, they move around so you can sit people this side. Nice amount of fixed seating as well. It works really smartly. And then forward to the port side, again, it's the same as the 62. It's a nice seating space, but it also converts to become a sun pad. And one of the things they have changed actually is a lot of this, which was stainless steel on the 62, is now all black, which looks really good. They've done it with the windscreen as well. Just makes it a little bit more modern from the outside. Right, that's the tour. There's one thing left to do. Fire this thing up, see what it can do. Before I do that, pricing. Base price is 1.77 million, excluding VAT, sterling. You want one like this, which has got pretty much every option, the bigger engine, seakeeper, air conditioning, passerelle, platforms, the lot. You're looking at about £2.5 million excluding VAT. However, if you want more in-depth pricing information, go and read my in-depth written review. We have a value for money section where I talk all about specs, costs, and also tell you which options I think you should go for. And one of those options is the largest engines. There were 3 engine options. There were on the 62 as well, and everybody picked the biggest ones. And that's what this boat has got. And that means IPS 1350 with 1,000 horsepower per side, which really suits this style of boat very nicely indeed. The 62 topped out at 31 knots. This is more like 33. So you're getting a little bit more of the top end. Not that that really matters. What matters is obviously the cruising. And really you're looking to cruise at about the same pace, 22 to 25 knots, which is going to give you around 260 nautical miles in terms of fast cruising range. Of course, if you want to drift along at slower speeds, you can boost that range. So you have got a seakeeper, you've got a gyroscopic stabilizer, it's not fins. So when you're moving along, you're losing a little bit of that effect, but this will be perfectly happy pottering along at 12 knots on a nice warm day. We're now at 24 knots, and it's very, very happy at this speed. Pearl said they weren't very happy with the steering on this. This is hull number 1. They're going to work with Volvo to try and improve it. I think it feels great. I've got the trim assist on, the seakeeper's still on. Despite that, still reacts really nicely to the helm. Steering's lovely and light, feels agile, feels alive. It doesn't feel too ponderous. I think if you remove trim assist and turn the seakeeper off, it just sharpens up the turning circle a bit. But really, for me, if I'm using this as an owner, I'm just leaving everything on and letting the boat settle in. It feels absolutely lovely. Really nice driving environment here as well. Breezy, obviously. The windscreen's pretty shallow. They could dearly do with a Perspex pop-up like you see on Absolute. Sunseeker do it as well sometimes to deflect the wind over my head. But I really like the position. They've dropped the throttles nice and low, so I can slide this seat forward. I'm close to everything. The MFDs are nice and upright, we can see those really easily. And they say they're going to change this, but I really like this sort of mushroom colour finish. It doesn't show all the hairline scratches that black GRP can do. I think that looks lovely. Clean, smart, nice amount of storage, cup holders. View's great, obviously. And the seats are really comfortable. I've got a little footrest too. So even when I lean back, I feel in touch with everything. It's really nice. I'm going to take the edge off of it to out with the wind noise. Pearl have built plenty on this platform, as I said during the tour, 2562, so they know this formula works, they know IPS works, and it feels like a boat that has been poured over for plenty of time. It all hangs together really well from an engineering perspective, performance perspective. Easy boat to drive at speed. It just feels familiar, comfortable, easy. No complaints really. Not
particularly exciting to throw around. Not really in the brief for a boat like this. A Princess F58 is probably a bit more fun to handle, but for what this boat is used for, spot on up here. It's a bit chilly into the wind. Thankfully we've got a lower helm, so let's head down there and have a go on that.
Okay, let's get her up to speed down here, shall we? Just ease her up. And though obviously you are more aware of the engines down here, mainly because there's zero wind noise, their sound is still pretty well contained. You know, you come to expect that from IPS. Generally quite a quiet setup. Engines are set a long way back in the hull. Obviously there's plenty of ventilation down there as well. We're going to go into the engine room after I drive it, but you'll see when we get down there. But yeah, I mean, it's a nice refined driving experience down here. Quite an interesting design on Pearls. There's a few things they do differently. Obviously I'm inboard here. You might expect the helm to be on that side, but I'm more on the centre line, which is quite nice. It reduces the blind spot there. There is a big mullion down the middle of this huge glass area, but it's not too bad. And because I'm further inboard and they've got that little quarter light, I'm aware of stuff coming at me from the starboard side. But the main thing is the way the windscreen stretches up and over my head. Typical piece of design from Pearl, and I think it works brilliantly. It just, you know, makes this area feel so much brighter, bigger. You don't feel like you're stuck inside when you're driving from down here. You're still in touch with the elements. Loads of light, crucially blinds as well though. It can get pretty hot and be quite a lot of glare around, but you can quickly just put those down. And then, you know, it feels like a sort of normal arrangement down here. There's not too much sunlight glaring down on you if you don't want there to be. The arrangement ergonomically isn't quite as good as upstairs. Everything's just a little bit further away, but I do like this position. They've put the wheel out a long way, so I can generally sit back. Again, the seat slides, and this is a really nice, comfortable position with a great view as well. I have got the trim assist on, so that's just taking care of the trim, but the boat has a nice running attitude naturally. So I'm not having to crane to look over the bow. And again, we're at that 22 knot speed in it, and it feels really happy here. The screens are a bit further away than upstairs, but again, they're nice and upright, so I can see them really, really clearly. Everything's just a bit more of a stretch down here, but I don't really mind that too much because it feels like, you know, you're down here. This is where you are going to be doing those longer passages. Maybe at night you're going to be sat back using the instruments, possibly cruising along a bit more slowly as well, and for that it's really comfortable. You're joined by a navigator. There's space between for people to get in and out without disturbing each other, which is great. The seat's a bit firmer than upstairs, though this is absolutely brand new, so I imagine the owner's arse will probably soften this over time. And it's a bolster as well, so if you want to stand and lean at this wheel, you can do. They have really tried to make the ergonomics very flexible, so however tall you are, you can get nice and comfortable. I like this space. The only thing is the view aft. As I mentioned during the tour, you've got those sliding lines. You've also obviously got your galley as well. So when I'm doing hard turns, I'm not really conscious of things coming up on my port side. So you are going to be relying on crew to give you the all clear on the port side. Not so bad on the starboard side. Of course, you've got the door as well, so you can pop the door open if you need to. But all in all, it's a really nice arrangement. It looks nice and classy. Finish is really good. It's not too bright. There's not too many shiny surfaces. So yeah, they've worked hard on that, and it feels really good. So that's what it's like at faster speeds. The last thing to talk about is to head up the Hamble and see what she's like around the marina. Right, we are now approaching the berth. I've elected to do it from up here on the Flybridge. As you've seen during the tour, we have got a joystick down in the cockpit, but I feel like I've got the best view from up here. So I've chosen to go from up here. I've got the camera on, and I've got a pretty good all-round view really. And we're going starboard side too, so I'm on the right side, and it's the usual IPS trick of just using the joystick to negotiate our way in. I can just see the pontoon. Good job they've got a glass transom because I can see through to the pontoon. I am a little bit close to the helm to stand and do this. That's the only slightly uncomfortable thing, but yeah, that glass transom helps a lot. I can just about spot where I'm going. Just add some bow thruster in. I talk about that, you know, needing bow thruster sometimes with IPS, and this is one of those times. just to help get the bow around a bit, and it just means the stern doesn't move too far. And now with starboard side too, I can just spot the dock a bit easier. She's coming in nicely, but yeah, I say it all the time when I test boats, you can't just have IPS. I think you need the bow thruster, because now the boat's coming in on its own momentum and I'm just keeping the bow in check with the thruster without having to use the engines and get too much momentum. Use the camera just to check proximity, because I can't quite see the end of the boat. Well, I can if I really stretch. But yeah, she's just drifting in nicely now. And of course, if I wanted to have a better view, I could jump down to the docking station, but it's all okay for the moment. I'll just get the lines on. That's the other thing about being on the Flybridge, you know, it's easy to communicate with the crew. They're down on the pontoon, I'm up here, I can see all around really easily. I hasten to add, I know I've driven a lot of boats, but that is the first time I've manoeuvred this boat at slow speed. I know it's my job, but you know, all boats are slightly different, but it just goes to show, I think, how intuitive IPS is really. You know, you use it on one boat, you sort of know how it's going to feel. And look at that, there's a Pearl 62 next door, I've just realised that. So with the perfect side-by-side comparison. Right, there we go, I think we're secure. Last thing to do before we wrap up, have a look in the engine room. There's a single point of access to the engine room, this hatch here in the cockpit. I'm waiting for the area where they've had to compromise to fit 4 cabins and a tender garage on this boat, but it's certainly not in the engine room. Okay, there's a bit of an intrusion here from the tender garage, but it's a long way through the space. When you first come down, right by the hatch, headroom is fine. It's a little bit restricted here, but perfectly easy to move around in this area, inspect the engines, get to the generator, which is up this way as well. The filters are mounted up on this bulkhead, and it is so neat and tidy. All the lines beautifully clipped up, same with the plumbing, everything's labelled. It's really easy to inspect by eye anyway. And yes, you have to crawl a little bit when you get down towards the back end of the engine room, but it's still, again, easy enough to get to the pods. Yeah, I was thinking this is where it all falls down. This is where everything feels cramped. It really doesn't. It's another impressive space on board the Pearl 63. So how have they fared in improving the 62 to create the 63? Well, remarkably well. It didn't require wholesale change. That thing hangs together very, very well indeed. But all those little changes they've made all over the boat just make life on board that bit more enjoyable. Being able to fit a proper tender in the garage. The cockpit balconies really do improve that space, and you've got a little bit more power from the engines as well, just improving that top end. Some things to consider. If you don't need 4 sleeping cabins, you've got a lot of wasted space potentially. So there are boats in this sector where maybe you have 3 cabins, a bit more space, and maybe a study or something like that. And of course, if you don't like IPS, well, that is the only option on this boat. So if you want good old shaft drives, not the boat for you. Those caveats aside, I think we're looking at a new best in class. Looks like Bill's done it again. Thank you very much for watching that sea trial and review of the Pearl 63. I hope you enjoyed it. Please give the video a like if you did. We'd really appreciate it. If you'd like to see my sea trial of this boat's big sister, the Pearl 72, I'll put that up here for you. If you'd like to subscribe to YachtBuyer, you can do that by clicking up here. Thanks again for watching. I'm Jack Haines. This is YachtBuyer.